Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Just out stretching the legs, getting a little patrolling in, scoping out an area that I haven't walked through in a while, so just doing the things, folks. I was thinking about how I push and encourage folks to form groups, tribes, crews, even those dangerous M-word militia. Yeah, we're probably not supposed to say that on here, but you know what I'm saying. You need to get out there and form some type of unity with other like-minded individuals so that you're better prepared to ride out the pending storm of the collapse of Western civilization that's coming our way. There's for a big title for you. Thinking about that, you know, it's actually, while it is normal for human beings to be communal animals, communal people, it's normal for us to want to be around each other, to feel comfortable and need that for our, for our sanity maybe, I guess. Anymore in today's world, with the disconnection there is with other human beings, it's not as normal as it once was. And so, honestly, getting people together, to work together, to live together, to fight together, to die together, to survive together, is actually harder than you think. Because it's gotten to the point that, people just don't know how to interact and behave with each other anymore. And it's making it difficult for people to find groups, and it's even more difficult for people to get along. I thought I would talk about that a little bit. Number one, this is maybe one of the more important things. When you first find people, maybe it's already an existing group. Maybe you're trying to form one up, and so you're there for the initial gathering of minds. Don't be the one doing all the talking. Don't go in with this idea of, yeah, I know a lot of stuff. I've been in combat. I've, had all this kind of training. I know what I'm doing. Don't go in there with that mindset. You may possibly be the most qualified person in that group to do anything. You may have lived off-grid and been a homesteader and a prepper for decades. You may have fought in wars and had some kind of specialty kind of training. But don't go in there acting like you're the top dog and that you know everything. Because it's just not going to work out. Again, even if you're the most qualified, people don't like that. They don't like people walking in and acting like they know everything. So don't do that. Go in there with really a servant's heart. That you're going in there to learn and to serve. And that you're the new guy. And if it's a bunch of you that are starting off, have the attitude that you're all the new guys. And that you're not in there to bump chests and to prove who's got what and who knows how to do what. You can do that later on. Go in there with a servant's heart, a servant's attitude, that you're there to help, you're there to learn, you're there to fit in. Take time to get to know each other. Of course, you don't want to tell all of your secrets and everything about you, but you want to expose yourself enough so that the people there have a pretty good idea of who you are. And the same way, in reverse, the new people want to know who you are. So you're going to have to be willing to kind of let go a little bit. Certainly you don't want to give away all kinds of operational security information and to where they know everything about you. That's foolish. But you want them to know about you personally, who you are as a person. what your character is. And don't go in there boasting about it either, because, well, that's not going to work either. You need to go in there again with humility. When you're trying to find people, look for families. Look for families. And if there are people that don't have families, people that are family oriented. Because you may want the best survivalist rifle squad out there, but you have to at times do the family homestead thing. I mean, who's going to feed you through the whole collapse? Who's going to take care of you? If you're all just a bunch of highly trained riflemen, where are you going to get all your supplies and your food and getting taken care of? So it needs to really be a family thing, not just a bunch of grunts out there showing who's who and how much all of you know. Focus on family. Be open to that, even if you don't have a family. Be open to, and not just open, but understanding of how a community should work. You know, again, some of you may have been in the military and you're used to kind of that squad mentality. It's not what you're trying to create. Not if you're really wanting to survive all of the bad stuff. You're trying to create something that you can survive with, something that can help you and others make it through all the craziness that's happening and that will happen. And it needs to be more than just a bunch of guys. Not that there's anything wrong with that. The guys should participate and should do things, of course. But if the women and the children aren't part of it, it's going to make it very uncomfortable when it comes time to everyone surviving together. I've heard too many stories of mags and tribes and stuff where it's just the guys participating. And then they plan some kind of big family cookout or camp out, and all the wives and the children come together for the first time, and none of them can get along. They don't like each other. Kind of makes it difficult. So make it a family affair. Include everyone. Now, of course, you know, especially for you men, you're including your wives and children, so you want to be a little bit more careful about who you choose to be around. But certainly it's probably not going to be very successful if you don't have them as part of it. You want to focus on not just the tactical part of it. You want to focus on all parts of it. Have a plan for medical, have a plan for food, plan for communication, a plan for educating the children, a plan for protecting the children. You know, the guys that I run with and work with, we've talked about it before. It's one thing being out there in the trenches with a bunch of other guys that all pretty much know what they're doing. It's another thing being out there in the trenches with your wives and your children and you're trying to protect them. It's a whole different world. So again, just because you have a lot of combat experience, it doesn't necessarily mean you know everything and you're ready to do everything. It's going to be a different world. You're protecting people that are mean a lot to you, that are very sincerely important to you. And so it's a little different than a bunch of guys that all can kind of handle themselves and you're backing each other up, but in the end, you know they know what they're doing. We have to figure out ways to make this work. It's not easy. I've been doing this for actually several years, long before I ever started this YouTube channel, working with other folks to build some type of preparedness group on multiple different levels. I've seen the successes and I've seen the failures. And a lot of times people lose interest. They lose interest because it's too formal. They lose interest because it's too dry. All they want to do is sit around and talk about guns and who can shoot the farthest and all that kind of stuff. You know, that stuff's cool. Most guys like that. But there has to be more to it. There has to be time just spent together, just normal times, getting to know each other, kind of breaking down those barriers. figuring out who you can trust and how close you can get to people. Because I assure you, when it all hits the fan, when it's all falling apart, the only people you're going to want to trust is the people that you've been around, you've worked around, you've lived around, you've bled around, you've cried around, and you know really well. The people that are going to be there for you too. And if you don't have that, once it all hits the fan, your group is, well, it's not a group. It's not going to really help anyone. And so you need to work on that. Spend time together. You know, just having meals together. Letting all the kids play together. Letting all the wives talk together. All the men go do something together. Go fishing together. Go do a Bible study together. Bring the families together. Go camping together. It doesn't always have to be all tactical all the time. But since we're on the subject, it does need to be tactical quite a bit of the time anymore. You need to be spending a lot of time as a group training. If you've got several families, do they all know how to behave together? What I mean by that, if things all get crazy and go to where real fast, do all the families know how to react together? Do they know who's grabbing the kids, who's grabbing the guns, who's carrying the babies? Do they know where they're moving? Do they know who's the rear guard? The men know what their positions are. Do they know what their job is? These are things you should probably cover. I know they seem pretty extreme. Some of you might say they seem so unlikely to happen. But you never know. And you'd hate yourself once it all happens if you haven't trained and planned that way. So I would strongly suggest you start making those kind of plans too. The thing is as much as you want to say, as much as many of you want to say you're all on your own, you're never going to find anyone, you will. And some of you already have. And you need to put lots and lots of effort right now into making that little tribe of yours work. People are going to have to give. People are going to have to give in. Not everyone's going to get what they want. You have to be diplomatic about it. Not everyone can be in charge. Not everyone can be the expert. But it's so seriously important because it could certainly mean the difference between you and your family surviving what's coming at us and not. So even though everyone has an ego, you need to leave those at the door. Everyone thinks it's just gonna miraculously happen. It won't. You have to put a lot of effort into it, work hard at it, and make it happen. You have to make it happen because it's not going to happen on its own. You have to give in and give and understand that while it's natural for humans to be with each other and to have little communal groups, it's become so far removed from our society that most people just don't know how to behave anymore. And so you have to keep that in mind when you are working towards your little mag, your little tribe. I can tell you, folks, once it all comes pouring down on us, you're going to wish you had it. And you need to be working very hard to make it happen. Try to find others around you. And if you can't find it, look for others around you. Form your own thing. It's possible. People do it all the time. I hear from people every day almost. So don't tell me you can't do it. Just tell me you are going to do it. And get out there and find someone or build something. And I would suggest you do it quickly because things are moving along quite fast. And who knows how much time we have left of this somewhat quote-unquote normalcy. Get out there, folks, and get your houses in order. Prepare today, mentally, physically, and spiritually. And get your communities ready in the same way. Because there may come a time in your life that the only thing that really matters is the tribe that you're with. And you want to make sure it's a good one. Thank you all for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.